Hey guys, welcome back to Sans Project Bench. On this episode, we do more bodywork. So I'm recording this after already doing the work. As you can see, it's already done behind me. So I've been doing quite a bit of work in the background, and to really show you where we're at, we're going to just do a quick flashback and I'll quickly run over what's been done. I'm going to give you an update of what I've done behind the scenes. So as you can see, this whole thing is masked up. So the whole thing is primer. So that was actually a bit of a mission to do. I made quite a few mistakes, had to fix a few things here, experimented, but that's right. We now have a primer. Eventually got there. So just grab my ladder. You can see up here, the roof is in primer. So this is just a 1K etch primer, a self-etching primer, whatever you want to call it. And this was taken back down to bare metal. So I experimented with a couple different paint strippers. The first paint stripper I used did nothing to the original paint. Literally sat on top and did nothing. So I had to then scrub the whole thing, but not only did nothing, it then pulled down the sides and started stripping some of the primer I did on the sides and other things. It was a big mess, and I had to sand a lot of things down. They were already kind of making progress, so a lot of rework there. Anyway, then I got a different stripper which worked. It's just I wasn't very experienced with it, so I still had a lot of paint left on the roof. So I gave up with the paint stripper and I ended up sanding the whole roof, sanded down A pillar, B pillar. That was done in a previous video, so all that was still in primer except for the parts where the original paint stripper rolled down the sides and I had to reprime that area there. So all the insides were of the inner door seals, door jambs, whatever you want to call them, they were sanded and they're all primed as well. So that's where that is. So we'll take a walk around here. Again, all in primer down here. So this is one of the sections I used a hammer and dolly. Might have talked about in one of my other videos. As we look closer, you can see it's not perfect, but there used to be a nice dent through there. You kind of see where I've managed to push it out. A few dents remaining, and this whole panel here is a bit wavy. There you go, my primer's a little bit light there, so definitely not perfect what I do. There's going to be some fill work there, another light primer patch here. So all this is going to be primed again. So this is just there while I do some of my patch work and all that, or my light filling work. Eventually I'm going to sand it all again, prime it again, and then we'll start building up from there. So now the update's all out of the way, we'll get into the video. Been slowly but surely prepping this to start putting a bit of putty into a few areas. So I don't know if you can see on camera, but there's a little something there. Quite a number of little dents like that around the car. I'm going to be trying to focus on those small dents that are easily repairable. I'm using a little bit of this single pack blade putty. So the other fillers I had been using to repair some of these dents was the two pack body filler, and they like to go down to bare metal. So I did some of the bigger ones with that blade putty, the body filler, but these ones I'm using the blade putty because the blade putty prefers to go down on a primer. So that's what I'm using for this. So I've got it sanded, cleaned, and I'm going to jump into work. When I'm doing these repairs, I am often learning as I'm going. I quite often take a few minutes to watch YouTube and then immediately attempt this, so they don't always go to plan. That one failed, so I had to sand that back down to metal, put some more self-etching primer, and once that is set, I'm going to give it a sand, smooth out some of the dodgy areas. I'm going to try that again. But for now, I'm going to jump to the other side, try do a couple dents over there. Alright, let's try this again. As I'm using this blade putty, I'm figuring out that it's not very happy when the temperature is above about 30 degrees Celsius. So I'll end up adding a little bit of thinners just to try give me a little bit more working time. As it started to cool off later in the day, the blade putty became much easier to use. If this is something you're doing for yourself, it is probably worth taking into account the temperature of the day. If it's humid, it can make it a little bit more difficult as well. So keep that in mind if you're attempting this. I'm doing everything one-handed. Just recently had a surgery in this, and I wasn't able to use the arm at that point in time. So on a surgery, and after a few days I was able to take the sling off and everything is fine. As you can see here, I'm still working on the blade putty, and as I'm sanding, I'll often go through the primer and get back to bare metal. So you'll see me constantly grab a can of self-etching primer and retouching up the bare metal. This particular putty doesn't play well with bare metal, and the filler sprays and the surface primers, they don't like going down to bare metal, so we've always got to keep that self-etching primer touching the bare metal, allow everything else to stick to that self-etching primer. So that's why you see me keep going back for the can and just touching up those bare metal spots where my sanding breaks through. Alright, so I've been tinkering a little bit off camera. Now as you can see, done a little bit of filling work, patched a few things. Now I'm just lightly sanding the body, scruffing it up, so I can hit it with a high build primer. So, even after a little bit of filler work, there's still going to be imperfections that I'm hoping to use the high build primer to help eliminate. So it's only got the self-etching primer in it at the moment, so that doesn't cover much of the scratches, dents. It's all pretty thin. So I'm going to hit at least this side for now with the high build primer, give me an area to work on, and I'll probably repeat the process, jump across the other side and spray that as well. We've got several layers of this hard build primer over top of everything. So having everything one shade of grey again definitely makes it a lot neater. Thinking I need to improve my gun. It's dripping everywhere, leaking. So that was from the neck of the pot on the spray gun. What happens when you use cheap equipment. So I think I'll be upgrading my primer gun. You can see got some splatter. I assume that's much of the same deal. So this side, it still needs some fill work. There's still minor dents and ripples and all that. I'll probably work a lot of that on off camera, try and make some progress. Now we have a look on the other side. So still making progress, not quite as far on this side. You can see I'm still filling and sanding down there. Quite a few little dents there. I've already finished one that was under here. There's another little nick, and got some dents on the roof where the old roof racks were. But yeah, the rest of it's still in its self-etching primer. Look down here, I still got some of these seal to insert. Yeah, so still quite a bit of work to do. I'll do a lot of that off camera, and once a bit of progress is back, I'll give you another update in a few days or so. But that's going to be it for this episode. Made quite a bit of progress. Sorry the videos haven't been coming up as regularly on this thing. Life has been insane, but it is starting to calm down, so I'm going to be getting back into this a lot more seriously. So stay around for that, and I look forward to seeing you. Sans Project Bench. Bye.